Let's start recording so you have something to look back at. Okie doke. So, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm really sorry I had to postpone from yesterday and then again an hour today. Um, it was very interesting. I had my old roommate from the days of about 100 years ago when I was a cadet at the United States Air Force Academy. Called me up. Uh, he basically stopped over, came by, and stayed a couple of days with us. He had some things to pick up. He's bought the pieces to about 4 different airplanes, and he's working on them at various places across the country. Lives out in California.
Air Force.
Yeah, he did. He stayed through, and I got out before I really got started. But we really got to have a quite a good friendship over the years, and so it was great to see him. And but he needed some help getting he bought a motorcycle from a kid when he was serving over in the United Arab Emirates. He well, actually, I don't guess he was in the service at that point. He was living over there, working when he was having his consulting practice. Anyway, he bought this motorcycle from this guy over there that, and he was from around here, and he had it stored at a facility there in McKees Rocks, and so he needed to stop in and get it. Was therefore going to be driving. He had a trailer and stuff for the motorcycle, so um, he said, "So I looked on the map," and I said, "Well, lo and behold, it's right near where you live." So anyway, he's in, got his stuff, and uh, good times, good visit, good hard work getting his motorcycle taken care of, and good to go. So back onto yours. I one of the things that I was thinking about too as I'm putting this together. We're building this what will become your drawing template for Jefferson County, and I've been sitting around trying to come up with all of these possible contingencies of everything that it could be, and get everything in place ahead of time. But I'm wondering if our better approach might be, especially now since you're getting closer to the time, if not up to it or past, that you need to start sending some of these things in. So I think if we work on the steps to get an actual job done, an actual plat made, that and then we can take those things that we can save out of all of that stuff and make them a part of that template. So we'll be developing this as we go along, and you'll also be achieving the finished product without a template as you're doing it this first time or two, but developing the template as you go on. So yeah, and so I think if we'll go that approach, if you figure out which one you might want to start with, is it ready, first of all, to start to put into a plat?
I think it is. It's the one we were working on last week.
Oh, with that dividing line.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get that thing ready to go, and that way you can get it turned in and move on to the next. And I think now I did a remote on yours, so you shared your screen. So in fact, why don't you go ahead and share your screen again? And I'll start talking you through where we're going to go with it from there. And then if you, before we're done, if you can send me the data that you have left, I'll start to put that into place.
Yeah, I need to figure out how to share my screen. I'm not seeing that option anywhere.
It should be underneath our pictures.
I expanded. You have disabled it, it says.
Oh, you know, that's the biggest thing that I hate about this is that it starts out by default being disabled and it won't let you change it. And I keep forgetting that it does it. So there you go. All right, so I'm going to save us some bandwidth here and turn the videos off. Alrighty. Perfect. All right. Now, let's see here. I won't need any of that yet. All right. Okay. Do you still have the file that I sent you of the template as it is at this point?
Yeah, I'm sure I do. I don't quite know how to open it. But...
All right. If you go up, you see the little folder. In fact, I'm going to request remote so you can see my mouse, but I won't do it as often. You see this folder icon right there?
I don't see your mouse.
Oh, see my mouse now or no?
Yep.
Is that my mouse? Yeah, okay, so follow me. So I'm going to take this mouse.
Yep.
Can you still see the mouse?
Well, I can't see it now. You're on the other screen, but that little folder with the green dot on it.
Yeah, so click that. And then navigate to where that file is, if you recall, or is that what you're saying? You don't remember where it went?
Well,
I'll tell you what, here's something else to do. Let's cancel that. Let's see if here's another option. If we can do a file, down here's the recent ones, but you've probably opened more than, oh no, there's a temp, is that what it is?
That's probably it.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, now, what we're going to do is we're going to have both of these files open, and see what I'm doing here is I'm clicking at these tabs and switching back and forth.
Yeah.
And so when we get something done over here that we want to put over here, we can copy it and paste it. Or there's, for instance, if we have, oops, sorry, this guy. If we, from the Explorer, maybe we'll have, say, line types that we want to put from this file into the other file. And if you see here, I've got two different files open. I've got your file here, and there's my drawing template. So let's say if I had, looks like the line types are line type names, and then here's the template. All right, so now we've got, all right, so there's a few more in this template file that you don't have in yours. Like, yeah, so if we look at least down from here to here, we're different in the template. So I'm going to take these 5 line types, and again, I'm down here in your open file, and I'm just going to highlight them, and we'll drag them and drop them to yours, to this plat that we're working on. So now those are there.
Wow.
Okay, and I'm going to, they come in with these weird file names. In fact, this one may not let us change that name yet. Let's see, that looks like that. Let's see what it's looking like down here. Oops. Center, yeah, all right, so we don't need that one. All right, so we'll take, and I'm not sure, to be honest with you, why it puts those $0 prefixes on there. It has something to do with whether it's previously existed in the file or something. I'm not exactly sure. So let me see. I'm gonna see this one we didn't need. But we did need to do this. And that needs the left one. Okay. So now we've made some changes, both file. Let's see if we've got layers over here in our template, which you can see what we have. And a lot of survey type layers. In your file, this one here, we have quite a few less, quite a number fewer layers than you have in the drawing template. Now, I'm not going to worry about putting those layers over into this file, but if we need them, we can come back and get them. But your template will be, once we're finished with it, we're going to wind up with more of this kind of thing, so that the layers are all sitting there waiting to be drawn on. Okay. And we just simply choose them, or we set up defaults to where they're automatically used. So that's really the process. I think we're going to get a little better progress made here. So I'm going to turn that off, and we're going to, while we're still in this file, I'm going to come up here to this little disk icon and hit save, so that it gets saved. Oh, one thing I'll do too, then we'll do a save as and see where you put this. It's right on the desktop. Okay.
Yeah, under Chef Lansing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
And then this laptop automatically saves my desktop to the cloud.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Mine does that too. So it's good little insurance. Okay. So we were here working on this one, if I recall. And there's some layouts. If I look here at these layouts, where's the one? Hang on a second. I'm going to because I thought I'd sent you something that we were already putting together notes and stuff on.
You did, but that wasn't on this drawing.
No, but I mean, that's the one I was sort of looking for instead of this Jeff County temp.
I can probably find it because I was working with it, practicing.
Yeah, why don't you see if you can find that and open that one? And that's the one we're going to start working on as a drawing template.
I'm trying to remember now what that was called.
And where would we have put it is the other thing.
Yeah, that's is that the one we already opened?
Yeah.
Well, I can't imagine where I would have put it other than the desktop. That's where I pretty much put everything since it's automatically saved.
Oh, look right there on your second folder down where it says Crawford work folder.
Oh, yeah.
There it is. Now look down there at at those tabs. What we've got drawn there doesn't matter a bit, but what we've got down here is there's your C size drawing and then your D size drawing. So your 17 by 22 and your 22 by 34. And you can click on either one of those and see.
Okay, well, I'm on the 17 by 22. Is that the one you're going to be using?
Potentially. Is that what we want? Is that the size you want?
Yeah, I think that's the size that Carlson County is requiring.
Okay. Yeah, they have like that 18 by 24, but I think we talked about using that one because when you do it half size, it's 8.5 by 11. So when that gets reduced to half, they can actually store it in a notebook. That's one of the reasons why we use these standard sizes. All right, so when we're, let's see, back and forth to these different files. So now if I run this layer control right here, which is really my drawing explorer from the title, if I come down here and find, there should be one called layouts. There it is. And there's that C size layout. I'm going to go here and highlight that and drag it and drop it right there. And that's now, I can close this. And so now down here where this is your file, and you see there's your, what we've been starting to build, but here's also, once it loads, here's this. Okay, so we're starting to get this sort of thing put into place. Now, remember this is a viewport of a certain scale that looks into our model space, which is here, and does a particular, like a rotation or what have you. So now I'm not sure if this is going to work exactly. I think it will. If I select this guy, now because anytime you're on, by the way, when you're in between these different tabs, whether it's model, layout, or ANSI, C, or what have you, it's as if you have two different drawing files open, like up to here and back to here. And there's the CAD command that I'm sure you're familiar with called copy, okay, is where when you select something, it asks you to show it a from point and a to point, which means you're making a copy in space right there where you are. So if I said copy, and I'm here, and I said copy this, from the CAD perspective, when I said, and I'll go just right click and copy, which is one of the ways of doing it, it's going to ask me at the bottom, specify a base point or blah, blah, blah. So I can say, here's what I'm saying, copy from here to here. Okay, so that's what that means. It's just making a local copy in space of that item, whether it's text or drawing or anything else. But if I want to take it from this layout and put it over in this layout, or vice versa, I need to do a clipboard copy. So as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and start that process. Now, if I look and see, I've got my page setup manager, and I have my little slight offset where we've identified to be able to fill that paper. We have our pen table. We are printing with print styles and line weights. And we are displaying our print styles, which means we're going to see them on the white layout sheet the way they're going to print, or as close as we can. All right, so that's all good. And I'll close that. That's on this one. I'll make sure we have the same settings here. What the heck? All right, that's definitely different. Let me see here. It says missing. Okay. RMS mono grayscale. So I want to look for, I'm over on my machine now looking for that style file. RMS mono. Drive. See. There we go. So while that's looking, I'm going to come over here to yours, and we're going to find where it is those files go. And that is in your print styles. Okay, so we've got our Windows File Explorer opened to right where those color tables go. So as soon as mine finds it, It's searching. Let me just close that. Let's see the form of it. It's going to be my login name under users. Under application data. Carlson. Until I can. All right, let's see. App data roaming, that's what I'm looking for, okay. Carlson 20 ICAD support. Nope. User, nope. Let's see support. Carlson. Support. Well, we'll put those in two different places. Sorry, Mike, bear with me one more quick second here. I need to run Carlson to figure out where that is on my machine. All right, so I'm going to open files. Let's title box. Okay. So that's starting there. Now, I'm going to look at my options, find out where that file is located. Mine's in app data roaming, Carlson software, Carlson 2020. Subprint styles. Well, ladies and germs, that's where I thought I was. All right. So let's go to drive C, users, my name, app data, roaming, Carlson, software, Carlson 2020. Ah, that's why. Print styles, very, very good. All right, so I'm going to now take this file and I need to send that to you so that we can put it here in this specific folder. Okay.
Can you email it to me?
Pardon?
You can email it to me?
I can, but there's a more direct way if I can figure it out. I'll just mail it. All right, so then when your mail shows up,
I just drag it into that.
that is correct. Perfect. Okay. And we can now close this. And cancel that. And I can say, I'm going to give you another file here too in just a second. I'm going to go to this one. No, I think that guy's okay. Yeah. Let's see what's in here. There's your certification, your general notes. Here's, okay, yeah, we're all right with that. All right. No need to send that one over again. And there's your layout style. So if I now right click, oops, let's go back to here. And if I right click this, look at the page setup, modify it, I now see this available. Perfect. We've got the right offsets. Everything is grand. Ready to rock and roll. There's your seal. There is your certification. Approval blocks, or revision blocks rather. Which we're going to need. We need your company name and stuff in the title of the plat. Everything either over here or however you want to put it. There are notes. I see that we've left this guy behind. We generally put him under something like that. And that's the one thing I can't, even though this is one piece of text, it's one big paragraph of text. When I edit that text, I can't have that line in that text other than I can have just these letters in that text could be outlined, but it won't outline this other blank spaces over here. So that's why, and this is pure, it is pure, turn these on, extension, good. Yeah, you know, it's pure cosmetics and aesthetics, if you will, as to whether to have something like that. But, you know, just sort of sets it apart and says, hey, you know, here's your notes, blah, blah, blah. All right. Now, we have from here, we've got our little location maps. I'm not sure.
Looks like it's in the right place.
Yeah, well, this is up in New England, apparently. Don't know what that one is. It's in Glassport. Okay. So what we were doing was checking out this here, which in our model space No. Yes. Okay. That was wherever that is. Way down here. That was that mess up there. So this is our probably Jefferson County Quad. It's someplace there anyway. Shepherdstown. All right.
Okay, it won't, the subject property won't be in Shepherdstown. It's probably in Carlson district. I think.
Okay.
I could look. I mean, we can zoom in. I can look and see where it is.
Yeah. Well, you see the river there, so I don't know if it's anywhere near.
No, it's to the west on the quad map.
Oh, it'd be west of this.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
can't see Route 9 on there, which should be coming. Well, is that
Well, that looks like what? What is this? There's Jefferson County to Berkeley County. All right.
okay?
It's still west of all that.
It's south and west of all that, I think.
Okay. All right, so if it's off the edge of the sheet, we don't need to worry about this sheet. So we're going to, in fact, I'm going to take this one out of our file. This is, again, just the template that we're working on. I'm going to save this just to get rid of some of that excess, which we'll put over here, this showing nothing. So we're going to come back to this. And what I would like to start to do as well is I'm going to make yet another file. So I'm going to say a new file. I'll click that icon there. And
This is a new file in Carlson.
correct.
Okay.
And I'm just going to well, let me cancel this. Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll just make a new file and I'll just say a very bare minimum template that I've got, and I'm coming into here and I'm going to create this file. And for now, we're going to go back to this, to that Crawford work folder as we're putting this together. And I see that I can't, I don't see anything. Let's see, let's come down here.
No, it won't be on Z drive. That's a thumb drive.
Oh yeah, okay.
If you click on
It's right there above. There it is. And
2020. Yeah, okay, there it should be there.
where is this?
It was on the desktop. Thank you.
Ah, there it is. Your Crawford work folder. Yep. There. All right. So while we're creating this drawing, I'm going to call this one our vicinity mapping, and we're going to make just a file just that's going to hold the maps that we're going to use for our vicinity mapping that we can use from job to job to job. And
Okay.
so I'm going to say save. And All right, there's our name. We'll bring it in a 2000 scale. Just for yucks. And just in case, okay, new coordinate file, no import. Should be fine. All right, so now we have this file, and we're going to put in it some of those quad sheets. So, or whatever form we want. Now, I'm still looking at some other alternate sources of what's going to be best to use for that. So let's look at.
Oh, by the way, I did. I actually got a drop. I got a terabyte of drop in my Dropbox. I paid them for a year's subscription.
Oh, okay, good, good, good. No, we can share stuff that way too if we need. All right, so let's go to the web, and we're going to go to the USGS. Topographic maps, or let's see, you sent me the one for Jefferson County. Do you guys have maps there at the county that you typically can download and use?
I don't know the answer to that.
All right. Yeah, I was starting to look at that and I don't remember.
Yeah.
All right, so we're just going to go here.
I think I sent you a link to their.
You did, yes. I can try to find that out. Let's see. It's a national. There we go. Just go to get maps. Historical. This one's. Okay, this. This is good. That's a template for GIS software. I don't need that. I just want the data. Find maps.
Can you download stuff from Google Earth into Carlson?
You can, as long as Carlson is able to be stored in a recognizable coordinate projection like state plane. You can still do it, but without the projection, but it won't line up with stuff until you move it and rotate it. All right, let's look at this. All right, so topo view, let's get maps. So look here. Enter location now. All right, so I'm going to type up here at the top, and we're looking for. All right, I'm going to go ahead and type that in. Or if you know a specific you know, maybe it's in a different town if it's not, because it's really not in the Jefferson Quad, right? It's on the Shepherd's, or it's not in Shepherdstown or something.
Well, I think it's in the Charlestown Quad, but I'm not positive.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Okay, so Charlestown, West Virginia. There you go. There, and now you should be able to, from here, let's see, there's all these different local things around, but you should be able to zoom in with this plus mark over here.
You know, I think we need.
And so I'm gonna let you drive it now. Yeah. And then use that plus mark, minus mark over there on the left to get where you want it to be. And did you see as you get to the edges, you see how it's looking like those borders? I don't know that those are quad sheet borders or not. I thought maybe that might have been it, but okay.
Here it is. I think.
Right there at Edmond Road.
Right in here.
Okay. So that looks like what we need to have. And let's see what we put this. I don't need that location. If I, let's see, back initial extent. Right, those are just navigation tools. I don't need that. All I need is I want to download it. So about comment, share. That's where we're looking. Oh, I see over here all the different historicals. So 1891 Harper's Ferry all the way up through 2019 Charlestown.
Yeah, it went back to Harper's Ferry when Harper's Ferry was still in Virginia. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. All right, so there's no Charlestown, West Virginia 2019. So we selected that one. We save as, these are just web pages, nope. All right, so what I want is that map. All right, so scroll to, okay, show, info, zoom, pan, pin this map, reporting errors, show, oh, here's my choices, JPEG, KMZ, GeoTIFF, or GeoPDF. So, and you can see the relative sizes of things. So if I take a GeoTIFF, that's going to be a TIFF file that has, which is a file format, but that has the geographic coordinates built into it. Now it's downloading this West Virginia Charlestown 20 zip, okay, into your downloads folder, which is coming right here. All right. And I'm going to take this guy, I'll show it in this folder, and I want to start a location here. Let's see, not documents, desktop, Crawford. And while I'm here, I'm going to say right click, new folder. And I'm going to call this USGS quad mapping, because you're going to put didn't mean to hit the S. We're going to start storing things in there, and we'll put them in there side by side and all that, so we have a sort of a library we can keep going back to. So now if I go back, well, here it is. That's what I'm looking for right there. Go back to this guy, and we're going to cut so that it goes out of there. We're back to our Crawford work folder. Now the survey or USGS, we will right click and paste. Now we have this. Now, what to do with this? This is a TIFF file, or a zip file, what you're looking at, which here's something, Mike, about zip files with Windows File Explorer, okay? When I'm looking at this file right here, see, it is a zip file, okay? Over here on the left-hand side, you see I've opened up this folder, and you see this guy show up underneath it. There's your zip file, but it acts like it is a folder over here, and in which I can open up these little, and here's another one. And if I open up those little plus marks, or even just if I sit on the plus mark, or not plus mark, but the little twisty, it doesn't have any effect. But if I click on that as if it's a folder, I can see the individual files that are in that, but they're not actually out separately anywhere. They're part of that zip file. Okay, this is what I'm getting at. Now I can take one, two, or more of these files. Sorry, the wrong thing. If I take, one, it's not letting me. Yeah, see, I could take several of these files and highlight them from this view and drag them into another folder and all that, and it takes care of unzipping that for you, etc. But so what you need to do if you're going to unzip stuff, which we are going to unzip this file, you either need to go in here, open this up, sit on that sort of pseudo folder, highlight these guys and drag it out, or it's easier if you're going to be unzipping everything, which we are, sit on the main folder, come over here on the right-hand half, find the file name, right-click, and choose Extract All. Okay. So it's going to go by default to a new folder that's of the same name of that GeoTIFF in its original location. So here it comes, and now we are in this location. I'm going to close this off for a second, and I see in my USGS quad mapping folder, I have both a zip file and another folder of that same name. So now when I look at that, here's the zip file, and you see the little zipper on the picture of the folder there?
Yeah.
It tells me it's a zip file. Here's the actual folder. So it's actually got those files in it. And you can see,
Those have all been extracted. Right.
Yes, they've all been extracted. And here's the nice thing about these GeoTIFFs. You see these TFW files?
Yeah.
That's a TIFF file world. So if I can open that with Notepad. See what it is? It gives you the coordinate values of the upper left pixel or whatever it is, scaling, rotation, and these are the coordinate values in whatever that was cast in, possibly UTM meters. I don't know. I don't know, or some kind of, it wouldn't be degrees of anything. That should be something closer to well, around here we're at 4080 basically, I think. 40 north, 80 west, 19 longitude. So this is a coordinate value. 436 and 492,000. Yeah, so those are my state plane coordinates. So I can use this information to come over into Carlson and bring that file in with a world file, and it's going to go right in that spot. So if you noticed when I looked at that, all right, remember those coordinates, about 492,000 and 4.36 million, okay, as a coordinate value. Now watch this. So we're over here in, where am I? Okay, that's part of this. All right, so I don't need that anymore. I can close that. So now if I'm in Carlson, vicinity mapping, if you look where my cursor is moving, I'm still around that 5,000 location, but I've gone ahead and declared this to be in the state plane, West Virginia North, okay? Now, and there's nothing else in it. So I'm going to go to my,
Wait a minute, that's
so
not
you,
5,000, 5,000. I can't tell where the decimal point there is.
well, if I'm looking down here,
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
yeah, it's just, and it's basically just arbitrary. So now I'm going to, so do you have the GIS module? You don't. You just have survey?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm in survey, I still have this. And can I do this? Place image by world file, that's what I was looking for. So when I do that, it wants me to select a file to insert. So I'm going to go here and select. And there's my Crawford work folder. I'm going to go into my quad mapping. There's my Charlestown. And here's the file I want. There's the West Virginia quad type. Let's see, this is the one with the aerial mapping in it. This is the one with the traditional quad type map. Let's look at that one first. So if I open that now and say open, now see, it's going to look at that. Remember that TFW, that text file that we had that I looked at a minute ago. So I'm going to say open. It's going to go on a layer called Geo Image. And well, there's a question. I'm going to say no conversion. I'll say okay. Now I'm going to zoom extents. And so now look at my coordinates. 492,000 something and 4.36 million something. So it goes right to our project location. So if we happen to have a map or a project that is in state plane coordinates, we can reference this file and it's going to show up underneath it exactly where it's supposed to be. Now, none of that is necessary with what we're doing over here, because I think we're still in 5,000 space, are we not?
Yeah.
Yeah, so none of that's necessary, but we'll just have to move it around a little bit to make it fit, here. I think, let's see, do I have that over there? I still need it. Okay, yeah, to make it fit up here, we'll just reposition it, all right? So let's go to my vicinity mapping. So there is our one file that's in there. Now we could, I need to find something now because I told it no conversion. Aha, this is in meters. It's in universal transverse Mercator. That's meter, maybe it's in meters. Hold on. We may have some adjustment to have to do here, Mike. Let me see. Let's check out this distance. If I go from here at 0 to here, that distance should be roughly 10,000, and it's not, it's 3,000. So so it thinks it's in meters. Okay, so I'm going to actually select that, delete it, and repeat that process. Place image by world file. I'll select that file again. And now the unit system. I think it's asking for my originating coordinates and not my destination. We'll see. So there's now, again, let's see what size it comes in as this time. Let's give me something rough. Yep, that's it. So now, so your state plane coordinates around the Charlestown area should be something on the order of, if I'm looking at that little coordinate box down below, it should be on the order of 1,630,000 as an easting, and a, what is it, 14,260,000 as a northing. Does that make any sense to you?
No.
That's what I was afraid of. All right, so it brings it in the right size when I do it that way. So there's our scale. What are your are these what you would expect to see as state plane coordinates in your area?
Yeah.
In feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not really sure why this isn't going that way. Pause to insert. If I take this file, I think I have to take that file and try that and see. Set the unit system for the image world file. That should be meters. That screws that. I think it's the right distance. All right, that gives me the right coordinate range. Okay. So if I take it, it just doesn't make any sense. If I, so it comes in, what's its scale? And so if I look at those numbers, get my calculator out here, I've got 492 and 75, 46883, and I've got 2.032. So we'll do anything, 242,000. See, it's very definitely, when I bring this in, I tell it that coordinate of that lower left pixel. But if I say US survey feet or no conversion, if I say US survey feet, it takes all this and it picks that coordinate value up as if it were a meter and multiplies it by 3.08 or 3.048 or whatever that number is and puts it way up there. So, but it brings the distances incorrect. Now, see, if you look at this, if I measure this in meters, if I say, give me a distance, I'm going to go from here to, let's go all the way out to here, and you should see that number is going to be close to 2,000. Look down here, see, that's 2,000. I didn't snap on it. I just, click from here to here. It's 2,000, but that's 2,000 meters. Okay, I wanted to be able to measure 0 to 10,000 in feet. So if I go from here to here, that should read roughly 10,000, but it doesn't. It reads as if I'm in meters in my drawing. So my point of confusion here, Michael, is that this process, what we've just told it, should bring that in correctly, but apparently
You're going to bring the whole quad into that little space in the drawing.
no, because it's gonna, so what I'm trying to do is make sure it's at the right scale and the right location. So if I look at my file one more time, this file, I need to be at 492.175 and 4360305, and that is, that's 494. That's 492. So it's looks like it's the mark. It's the paper. It's 492, and then it's 4341. So maybe it's this one. Upper left, I think is what it is. So 492.175 and 436. All right. So if I scale this now to take it from metric, but I need to scale it from that corner So you shouldn't have to do this, and I've got to find out why this is happening this way. All right, so I'm gonna scale it from there. If I select it, I'm gonna scale. I'm gonna give it a base point of here. And the scale factor I'm going to come up with, I need to make that 3.0 whatever number it is, but let me figure it out exactly. So in US survey feet units, I've got 39.37 inches per meter. So that's 39.37, divide that by 12, so that's 3.28083333. That's my scale factor, 3.2808333333, and boom. All right, so now I'm at the right location coordinate wise. In fact, are you familiar with a state plane coordinate value roughly in, say, Ranson?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. I was just gonna, as I hover the coordinates, I'm looking around. I'm at like 500,000 easting and 4.3 million northing. Does that sound relatively?
It sounds like it's in the ballpark.
Okay. So, and then I'll check one last time on the distance. Pretty confident that it's going to be correct. I'll go from here to here, should be close to 10,000. Bing, bing, boom, 99. Say, okay, that's it. All right. So we're okay here. I'm not going to worry about saving a, giving you a process on this thing right now to try to memorize, and we'll start building this, but I'm going to leave this here. I will, however, in the coming days, try to figure out or get with tech support and ask them what's going on with that. All right, so I'm going to save this file. It's called vicinity mapping, and we're going to use that to reference into our drawing. So I'm just going to close it for now, and we're going to reference it into into this file. Let's see how I want to do this. I could bring it straight into paper space. Or if I could bring it into, let's bring it into model space. Is this, I'm at the title blocks. I want to be in, well, it won't matter in this file because it's not gonna line up with our stuff anyway. So let's go to the model space. And I need to X-reference that file, externally reference that mapping file so I can show it from my layout. And what I'm going to do is when you X-reference anything, it's going to come in on the current layer. Well, right now my layer is called resub. So I don't want to see that show up on this layer. So I'm going to go to my layer manager, my layer control button here on layers. I'm going to make a new one and I'm going to call it XREF. And this being my habit. So XREF, and I'm going to call it vicinity map. And like sometimes I have like when I'm doing building constructions, I'll have a XREF underscore existing conditions. And I'll have another one, XREF underscore as built, that kind of thing, so that I can freeze and thaw those layers wholesale. I don't have to, because the XREF file that I'm going to reference in, I'm going to get all of its layers too. And that particular one probably doesn't have many, but if it's a CAD file, I don't want to worry about freezing and excuse me, freezing and thawing all of those XREF dependent sublayers. All I have to do is freeze its parent layer and the whole thing turns itself off, okay, without actually losing it. So I'm going to call this one this name called XREF vicinity map, and I'm going to double click on it so that it's now the current layer. And now I'm going to simply do I can't do an XREF really because that's an image and it's a TIFF. Oh no, I'm sorry, completely misspeaking. I need to do an XREF or an attach. So if I do XREF and I choose the attach button, now it wants me to attach a DWG file, and right there's the one we just made in my Crawford work folder. Sometimes you have to navigate to it depending on where it's pointing. So it's going to be here. I'm going to say open. Now, when it comes in, it gives me the opportunity to place it at a specific location, give it a different scale and different rotation, but I'm going to uncheck all of those so that it does come in at the proper coordinate location. And I'll say okay. And then it comes back up and lets me do some more stuff with other files. I'm finished, so I'm going to say close. And now I'm going to double click the wheel and do a zoom extent. So you can see where your work is down here at 5,000, 5,000. We'll come up here, see the coordinate values. There's your 500,000, comma 4.3 million. And there's going to be our area up in here. Okay, so this one is truly at a state plane up here. However, down below it's not. That's your 5,000, and that's okay. So we're going to use this though to build that map. Now I'm going to do this just because I don't like to see this extend control. Let me see. X fade. XREF fade control. It's usually really high. And if I say 0, you should see that that's fade control. Image. Let's clip. Let's see. All right. Oh, never mind. All right. Now, what we need to do is come here, and we're going to go into the, remember, this is the viewport, okay? And this viewport is already going to be set up. I'm going to go over here. I need to unlock it because we need to position what we're looking at. So I'm going to unlock it, but it could be at this point that it's going to be set up already at 1 inch equals 2,000 feet. And I don't see a pre-built one of that established. So I'm just going to go to custom. And 1 inch equals 2,000 feet is 24,000, 1 inch, or 1 to 24,000 as a scale. So if I type 24,000, get this right, and so that'll be my scale. No, it needs to be 1 over 24,000, not 24,000, so 24,000. So point, this is right. Well, I'll tell you first thing we need to do instead of that is we need to double click inside it, double click to get our zoom extents, and then zoom in to sort of get our point sheet looks like. Yes. All right, so I'm going to keep that centered. The double click back out here. I'll select the viewport now. And the scale that I'm going to want is going to be point, oh shoot, it's 24,000. Inverted, so that's going to be 0.0000 416666667 4166667. No, it's not exactly right, is it? No, it's not. It is. Should be 1 to 2. 1 inch equals 2,000 feet. The paper's already in inches. So that's should be 2,000 inverted. So that's 0.3 zeros and a 5. So this, let's see, am I in paper space? Come on, paper. There we go. All right, so if I'm here, that standard scale now is going to be not available. We'll just use custom. And a 0.3 zeros and a 5. Come on. Regen everything. Let's see. Mike, I don't understand what's not getting fixed here. Did that not changing size there at all, is it?
Doesn't look like it.
I was just wondering if there's a delay on the visuals coming back to me. Guys, do you still see inside of this the entire frame?
Yeah. It's kind of blurry. But I can
Yeah, until you zoom in, it'll straighten itself out. Oops, that's a little too tight. Ah, it finally regened itself at the right scale. Maybe, except now I got to go back and find. I think what I did was I was inside it. So if I'm here at right now, so let's see if I can write this way. All right, so that's at the right scale. That is at quad scale. That's as if you had taken that quadrangle map. Now keep in mind, the thing that we're looking into here, this viewport, is only, what is that? Distance from here to here is 3.5 inches. So it's 3.5 inches square out off of a quad sheet, which is here. So it's only that little 3.5 inch window that we're looking at. Now we can change that if it needs to be bigger, or what we need to do at this point, if that's going to be sufficiently large, which it should be if you've got enough features shown, we need to now position what we're looking at dead center of our project site. And that's where you're going to have to know where that is.
Yep.
So if we go to, well, first of all, what I want to do is hit the save button. And there's the regeneration. All right, so now what I want you to do, I'm going to double click inside of it here. So now it's active, but don't roll the wheel, okay?
Okay.
So that'll change your scale, but we do need to pan. And if you, which the way you normally pan is you press and hold the wheel to pan, but
Yeah.
it's awfully easy to roll the wheel accidentally. So if you'll type the word pan and hit enter, you can use the left mouse button instead. So use that and get it centered around your job site.
Oh, wow, we're way far away from the site. We're on the other side of the river. And this is Flint Spring.
Mm-hmm.
Old Country Club Road.
Yeah, we were close to the center of the quad sheet, I think, when we.
We're getting close now. Okay, it's in here.
All right, so if that's where it is, yeah, then now let's double click outside of that little frame and it'll quit being bold faced. So double click the left mouse button, or wait a minute, no, first you need to hit escape to finish the command. So that's the first thing. Now double click outside it. Now select the frame once, just the frame, and go over into its properties and lock it.
Lock it?
Yes. Okay. So that's now locked, and we'll draw a little circle on top of it here in a minute. So that's, and select it. We'll put a little circle around it and say project area or whatever. We'll do this kind of a point out thing.
Right.
And we'll put a little title. So let me see if we do this. What all is that? Is that all? Is that part of the? That whole thing is an image. All right, so I don't need, yeah, see, I did that in a separate software, so I don't even really need that one anymore. But I might like to have some kind of a little title, a little caption, something that says it's a vicinity map or a location map. And so let's do that here. We're going to go and find out what layer is this on. It's on title block notes. I'm going to make that my current layers. I'm going to select it. I'm going to come to this secret little button right there. This is MOLC. Means make objects layer current. So when I click that, you see I've changed to title block notes. And I'm going to put the little title and scale reference and maybe a little north arrow onto our location map. So now what do we want to call this? What do you guys typically call them? Vicinity map, area map, location map? Vicinity map. All right, so we'll call it that. And we're on that layer. I think this is on viewports. That's where I want it. So we're going to need to just put a caption on this. And I think we'll also have a frame. Right now, that red frame that you're looking at is the viewport itself. So there's no real border around this. If I were to see this as a preview of my print, for instance, if I do this print preview, I'm not sure it's going to work. Let's see. Yeah, it's not implemented. If I were to plot this sheet right now, you wouldn't see the edges here at all, because we see it in our selection, but it's on a layer called viewports that is set to not plot. So we're going to put a little frame around it that we do want to plot, and we're going to just superimpose it right over top of our viewport and then send it to the background. So I'm going to, well, first of all, I'm on title block notes, but I think I've got a thing called title block line work. Right there it is. And I'm going to draw a 2D polyline, and I'm going to say use the current drawing properties. Say okay. I'm going to snap to that corner, to that corner, to that upper corner there. I don't need to complete the picture, that's already drawn. And then I'm going to finish the command, and then I'm going to select that guy and right click and choose draw order and send to back. Now the reason I'm doing that is so that if I need to change the size of this viewport, it's easier for me to select it, and it's not hiding under the polyline that I just drew. So I'm okay. Now I'm going to also put my little title of my mapping down here about yay far away. So I'm going to draw my 2D polyline. I'm still on that line work. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go straight down by, there's my projection. I don't need to be much more than that. And then I'm going to draw over here, and I'm going to snap perpendicularly to that. And so that gives me a little area to put some captions. All right, so I'm going to zoom in. Now you're going to drive, and you're going to switch your layer, your current layer, from title block line work to title block notes so that we can put the titles on here. There you go. And you're going to type this vicinity map, maybe the name of the quad if that's what you want to, or you may not need to do that, and just call it vicinity map, or give it a scale.
Is that where I go? The type?
Yep. And
Survey text?
no, not really. That has to do with measurements of the ground. So in fact, the annotate menu itself is maybe not the best one here, because we're really just going to put some text down here. So annotation in this sense means to annotate the geometry in the model, okay, like the distance and bearings and stuff they've drawn. So we're really just labeling. So we're going to go to our draw menu instead. So I misled you. I apologize. There you go. Yes. And we're going to just do a standard text would be fine. Any number of those things. But first thing is that set style, which is, come on down, right there. So let's set style, and let's pull that list down there where the current style name, see what we have. All right, we got a bunch of different ones. And there is title main, title project name, They're standard. Some of those are leftovers from years ago and files that got built that can possibly later be ignored. But there's one that's two above where you're sitting called Legend. And if you choose that, that's going to match the same font that is used to say general notes.
Okay.
You know, all the different ones. So we'll take that one, we'll say okay. And so now that's set. And now we're going to go back to the draw menu and choose text. And we're just going to choose standard text. Okay. So it asks you to specify a start point or choose the justification or choose a style. So you want to do somewhere in there, yeah. And if you're accidentally kind of snapping to things, turn your snapping off for the moment if you need to. You know how to do that?
Well, I don't really know how to do that.
There you go. Yep, just double click it. Okay, and then when you need to turn it back on, you can go back down there and double click it back on. All right.
So it's off now?
So it's off now. So now, and you notice the little yellow marker or whatever yours is showing is off. All right, so now when you click, that's where your text is going to start. Okay, so we click. Now, I want to know the height of the text. Now, here's where you need to sort of think a little differently. If you were out drawing in model space, that would mean how many ground feet, how many ground units do you need it to be tall? And you would have to say, well, if I'm at 40 scale and this blah, blah, blah. So, but we're in paper space and we're talking about inches now. So the height of the text that we want here is really not much more than about a 0.125. That's 1/8 of an inch. Okay, we'll say enter for that. And then it wants to know the rotation angle. Well, east rotation, that's, you know, straight to the right. That's what we want. So we'll say enter. And now it's, see, the cursor is flashing. So at this point, you can turn your caps lock key on and type vicinity map.
Scale.
And if you want the scale, maybe if you want it on a separate line, go ahead and hit enter. And because this is just the way the command works, all right, it's going to be two separate pieces of text, but it keeps letting you enter each line. So I would say, you know, 1 inch equals 2,000 feet. And I would put, there you go, perfect. And hit enter. And then if you're done, and if you want more pieces of text, you can keep typing and move them around. But if you're done, go ahead and hit enter one more time. And that's it. You've got those two things. Now, if you want those to all be, you know, on the same, like they're on the same line, but here's what I'm getting at. If I take this one, see, it's a separate item. So, you know, I maybe put this one here, and then maybe put him, yeah, sort of like so. You could have, yes, to answer your question, type this and hit a bunch of spaces and then type that other over there.
If you wanted to, could you type the vicinity map and 2,000 feet under it and then center it in that space?
Yeah. In fact, we'll go ahead and do this, and just to have you to show you how that's done. So if you want to center that and you want them one line above the other, then if you go to draw text, just like you did before, just standard text. Now, you're going to click a point or justify or style. So the first thing let's do is J for justify. And the justification we want, now here's your different options. Left is what we just had. Center would be what you think we're going to be using, which would be, you know, it could work. But notice those ones with the 2-letter codes. You got TL, TC, TR, that means top left, top center, top right, middle left, middle center, middle right, or bottom left, bottom center, bottom right. So if we type MC, C, that means the middle of the text and the center of the text, that's its insertion point. I'll show you what we're going to do with that in just a second. All right, so we now have that, and it wants you to know, where do you want that to be? Well, if you, now remember, right now your entity snapping is off, but we are going to put that somewhere, and you can either, if you have something you want to line it up with, you can snap to that point automatically, and we're going to do that right now. And if you see up here, you see that little icon right there?
Where? No, I don't.
Right.
I don't see your.
Oh, okay. All right. Watch. You can. All right. So you see.
Yeah.
You see where my and now, right up here, that one right there.
Yeah.
See, this is mid between two other points. Yeah. Well, that's where I want the center of this text to go. Is the middle point between two specific points, and I'm going to click that, and it wants me to give it. We're going to show it down here. It's prompting me the first point, and it could be the middle of this line to the middle of this line. So midway between would be the right where I want it. Now, if I don't, you know, and also I could have gone from the end point of this bottom line to the opposite end point of that line, and halfway along that line is going to be where I want it. Either one of those would work. So I'm going to snap. I'm going to say shift right click. I'm going to say midpoint of this line, which is right there. Now it wants to know the second point. So I'm going to shift right click and choose midpoint of this line. Boom. And so now you see where that wound up going is right in the middle. All right. So now I'm going to let you finish. Just hit enter
for that.
Correct. Enter for that. And now type vicinity map. Now you're in lowercase letters, by the way.
Change that.
Then you enter. 1 inch equals 2,000 feet. Now it's not showing. Well, go ahead. Go ahead. And then hit enter and enter to conclude. Now, so if you look at the oh, shoot. All right, I see what it did. So this first line of text, the middle center of that text is right in the middle of where we're going to go. All right. And there's still two separately independent lines, which is not exactly what you were wanting to do. And again, I sort of showed you that sort of an old school way. And you know, what I would be tempted sometimes to do is just, I would select those guys and then just sort of, you know, just get it. Yeah. Okay. But now what we really wanted to do is this. I'm going to show you a little trick too. I won't take too long. But this right now, when I select that, I see up here that it is, I'm up here in the properties. I see that it is a piece of text. Yeah. Okay. Whereas this is a block of M text or multi-line text. So that's what we should have chosen to do instead of standard text. If we had said multi-line text, yeah, it would have lined everything up. Now, let's say you've done this as lines of text, but you wanted to create them as multi-line text. You wanted to change it. Well, Carlson gives you a tool that IntelliCAD does not, and it's on our edit menu, I think. Down here where it says text. And we can, at this point, we're going to convert text to MText. There it is. Okay. So when we do that, it said you want to group your text or process individually. Well, I'm going to group it. Now what that means is I'm going to select this line, and I want to consider that as everything to go into a piece of in text. Otherwise, it will create two different pieces of in text. So I'll group, and I'm going to select this one and that one and be done. Now, does it ask me, do I want to combine those on the same row? I'm going to say no. I'll put them here. Now, you see what happens? But they're left justified because that was my current style. So I'm going to select it and go over in my properties, and instead of top left, I'm going to say that middle center. And now notice where it goes. And the reason for that is because I've got my width set too high. So I'm going to just drag it over like so. And at this point, and it can be any, any width that you want, but that repositions this. So now I need to move this text. So it's selected now, and I'm going to right click and choose move. And it wants to know from and then to. Well, the from point is my insertion point of this text, which is now the middle center. So I'll shift click, insertion point, and I'll grab that piece right there, the insertion point of that text. So that's now where I'm going to line up. And you remember the one we did a minute ago? Hint, hint, this guy right here.
Yeah.
So we'll go middle of the 2 points, and the 2 points I want to go in the middle of are shift click mid, which is right there, and shift click mid of this one. And if I look at that insertion point, it is right between these two guys. Now, why your text is too close on the top and not on the bottom has to do with the justification of that paragraph of text, not its justification. Well, I guess it's vertical justification, but I don't know that we have choice on that. Maybe nothing like that. So middle center is correct, and that's the middle center of the block of text, but there is a right here, a line spacing, line space factor. So anyway, you could futz around with all that kind of stuff all day long, or once you get it close, you can, yeah, just eyeball the thing. That's the way we used to draw maps. All right. So if that's getting to look like what we're used to seeing now, this smear, I don't know if you're seeing the same thing in the vicinity map. It looks sort of smeared out up here at the top.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, that's just video, what they call artifacts of your video, and it's because we're running in Zoom. So that's the essence of getting that done, and you can use that same file. Remember, the file that I have in here is, this is an XREF. See, it's an external reference, and down here it tells me the name of it. If I scroll down, called vicinity mapping, and it lives there in that that folder I've got. So that can always be done. And usually, if you're working in state plane coordinates and you bring that file in, it's going to line up right underneath where you're working. Okay. But this will work for what we're doing. Keep in mind, though, if you ever do a zoom extents while you're in model space, it's going to try to figure out that the extents includes, where that mapping file is, which is way off up there in different coordinate space. So one of the things I like to do in that regard is this is my sort of working extents, if I will. And I'm going to type, or you're going to type the command view, so V-I-E-W, yeah, and hit enter, and you're going to save this, and this is going to be, the way you save it is you're going to type the new button right there below. And up here in the name box at the top, over to the right where it says name, yeah, right in there, highlight that and just call that, you know, main site or whatever you want to call it. Or project area, just anything you want to call it. All right. And you'll type, and then
site location.
That's fine. Now say OK. Now double click your wheel so you do a zoom extents. And let's say you do that, and then maybe you rolled the wheel like this, and you're, or maybe, you know, way out here, and you have no idea where you are. And yet, if you do a zoom extents, it's going to be way out, you know, with everything. So if you type view again instead of zoom, now you see that list, and you can have any number of these views saved. But there it is, site location. You select it and you choose set current, which is the button down below there. And now, OK. And voila, it puts you right back where you, wherever it is you save a view is where it's going to put you back. Okay. All right, so we now, the next step, have actually probably a good place to take a little 3-minute stretch break if you'd like.
Yeah, sure.
Let's save our file here. And then when we come back, what we're going to do is to get this stuff starting to be on this page. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll come back to that in just a bit. I'll see you in.
Don't we have to mark specifically? I mean, we do need.
Oh yeah. We can mark a little outline of where the project is. Okay. Something along the lines of. Looks like I erased that already. I think what I had before, where I had my local quad sheet, I had like a little outline and a cross hatching in my property area. So it just depends on, you know, how prominently you need to display it. So we'll do that. We'll either sketch something on here, or in the, we'll talk about this when we come back. I don't want to keep you from your break here, but okay. I'll see you back here in about, well, it's 1 minute to 4. Let's say reconvene at 4:05. Okay. All righty. All right. Talk to you in a bit. All right. Resume the recording. And so if you'll go back and share your screen again. There we go. And I will request remote control if let's see it. Let's see what happened to the shared screen. don't. All right. Are you still sharing the screen?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because it's asking me to,
Yeah.
if I want to stop share. It says waiting for Ken Crawford to control your screen.
I know, but your screen went away.
Oh, wait a minute.
There's the meeting.
Still not there?
Yeah. All right. If you why am I? It's not that. It's that is my session.
Well, it's asking me if I want to start the Zoom, but we already started the Zoom, haven't we?
Yeah, you shouldn't do that. Let's see.
The Zoom icon is minimized in my
Yeah.
what's it called?
No, wait. All right. When I click that now, is that your screen? It's got a lady jogging on the beach. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was obviously on my end. I just don't know what caused that to happen. All right. So, yeah. All right. So I've got control if I need it. All right. So now, first thing we're going to do is we need to get. We'll worry about these notes here in a little bit. I'm going to drag them out of the way for a minute. We'll select both the notes and that line. I just did a crossing window to drag across it. And now I'm going to just press and hold the mouse on either one of those and just drag it off to the side here a little bit. That's a shortcut way of doing a move. Okay. And we don't need this certification. I think we already worked on this last time. This certified the monumentation showing this plat.
Well, actually, that certification is a different certification. We don't need that one for this, but we'll need it for some others.
Right. And we still have it over here in the one that we're working on. You know, that's here. We're going to always have it there. So for right now, we're going to be getting this guy ready. So I'm going to select him and delete. All right, so we have that. So we need to, let's get our drawing in at the scale we want, and then we'll arrange all this other stuff around all that.
Okay.
So if we go back to our model space, that's what we want. We started looking at, here's in layout 1. This was that layout. We sized it, we rotated it, or rotated our view. We did not rotate the stuff in it. We just did the view, and that was, if you remember.
You know, one thing we're going to have to do is show the other side of that road right of way in front.
Okay. That's no problem. We can either make the viewport slightly bigger, or we can reposition this. Any of those things is fine, and we'll come to that in a second. But so we've done, the last thing we did last week was on the view menu, we did this twist screen, and we lined up with that line across the front to be horizontal on our sheet of paper.
Right.
Okay. And now what happens if I double click inside it, you see that little icon there?
Yes.
So north is sort of that way. All right.
Right.
And that's going to be what we use in just a minute. So I'm going to double click back out of it. If I select that viewport, I see it's on layer 0. I'll put it on layer V ports so that it doesn't plot the frame. And were there two things here? No, just the one. Oh, okay. I know what's up is this. I need to change my page setup to use that. Yeah, there we go. All right, so this viewport, when we were first starting working with it last week, is now set, it's locked, and it's set at a standard scale of 1 to 40. So that's what we figured you're going to show that at a 40 scale, right? So, but here's the deal. All right, we're working on that. It's over here in this layout 1, but I really want it over here. And there's two things you can do. You can either select, create a new viewport. Oh, I'm in the wrong, sorry, I'm in the wrong file. All right, so not here, but here. So we can either, create a new viewport like this one, set it to 40 scale and mess around with it so that it's where we want it to be. That's fine. Or you can also do it this way. I'm going to go ahead and select this and get rid of it as if we only had the one up here for our vicinity map. Okay, now to bring the viewport from here to here is we're going to do a copy, but because we're changing these tabs, it's just like we're working in two different drawings. We need to copy this through the clipboard, because remember, the copy in a CAD sense means to give it a starting point and an ending point. We're just making it a local. So we're going to select the viewport. We don't have to select anything in it because remember, it's just the frame, the hole we cut into the model. That's what we want to copy. And I'm going to let you drive here. So you're going to go right click and you see, right, yeah, clipboard, and you're going to copy with a base point. Go ahead. And now I would pick, it doesn't matter where, maybe that upper left corner. So yeah, that's fine. And all right, so it's now copied. You can press escape to deselect it. You don't even have to. You could leave it selected. Now I would get in the habit. We're done working with our shoot, what happened here? Well, I don't know. Put that back to full size screen. Something I double clicked it. I like to put my snaps back on, and back when we were working with the text, we turned them off. But this way, if I need the snaps, they're on. But that'll come through practice and habit. Now, so you've copied this, and your reference point is that upper left corner. So now let's go to our drawing sheet, which was that one, and let's right click and choose clipboard. And this time, before you do it, I'll explain a couple of things. There's one that says paste. That's the one we're going to be using. If you said paste as block, then that takes everything you've gathered up and copied and just creates it as a block. We don't really want to do that. And if you say paste to original coordinates, it puts it back in the same exact spot as it was from the other drawing. And a lot of times that's what you want. But we're going to say paste because we're going to eyeball where we're going to put it. So we'll say paste. And just make sure, now remember, it's the upper left corner that you're putting down on the paper. Yeah, and it can, by the way, it can overlap that other one if you ever needed something like that. You don't really need to or want to.
Because we don't know how it's going to fit yet.
Yeah, that's correct. And then, so go ahead and just click it. Yep, and there it is. Now, you can click the edge and you can just reposition it. And you reposition it by grabbing that middle grip, that dot in the middle of the, no, in there, yes. Just grab that, and then as you move it, that repositions where it's going to go. Okay.
Oops, went back to where it was.
That's fine. And the reason it did that is because it recognizes that geometry that you're over, and it snapped it to that spot. So just click. And if you want to turn your snapping off temporarily, either shift right click and say clear, or up here in this toolbar up here at the top, there's this one that says clear entity snaps. So when you do that, that's the same as if you double clicked it down here. So either way, so. Yeah, now get in the habit of, you see that the edge of that viewport, and you're getting close to the edge of the vicinity map viewport?
Yeah.
Get in the habit of understanding that it doesn't matter if they cross. What you want to, go ahead and click to let it down. All right, to let it go. Now, you see, what it is you want to get in the habit of looking at, Mike, is get a sense of where this line is going to be in relation to, because this stuff, that's just defining the limits of it. And we're going to be worried about where the actual line work goes. So you don't have to move this by this point. That just gives you a point of reference. You could say, you highlight it, and you can say right click, move. And this time, instead of it being in the middle of there, we want to say, well, I want to take it from, say, right in here off that corner. And I want to put that, say, right there. Okay. So you see how they overlap, and that none of that matters.
Okay.
And in fact, these viewports can have, now not this particular one, this is a rectangular viewport, but you can draw irregularly shaped things. Let's say I drew something that looked like this. You know, and I could turn that into a viewport. Okay. So that would then be a viewport instead of this red one. But right now, you know, rectangles are fine. And you just have to remember that, you know, what we're interested in seeing, you know, not overlap each other, is the drawn graphics, because these edges are just edges, and it doesn't matter. Even if we make this, you know, this big, there's other stuff that can go in here, and none of that matters.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we're going to have room for all of those notes.
Well, we may not. And now keep in mind, all of these notes, I mean, they would barely fit on the sheet to begin with, but these are construction type notes.
Right.
So they may not apply. So you need to, as we're working on this, you need to figure out what you need in your general notes. And there are things here like horizontal datum is West Virginia. I don't know, this came out of something, but obviously needs some edits. And it should be state plane, not state. It's a state plane. You know, so, but I don't want to. I don't want to spend a bunch of. I don't want to spend a bunch of our time together here to do this stuff. This stuff you can figure out. So read through. You know, read through your notes, figure out what you want. Now that is all. You know, this style, you may not want it to be italic, so maybe this style would be, let's see if I start here and go to the end. I'm going to change that to be, there's no style. Say, okay, except no, that's probably, well, can't, I keep, that's what I want to do. Yeah, there we go. And I need to come up here and I just want to select that title and make just that part of it italic and say, okay. All right, so, go through your notes when you get a chance, figure out what you want, even if you just type it up as part of a word processing thing, but figure it out what it is that needs to go on there and which of those, and if we're not going to use it, we don't worry about it. We're not going to care. If this is our single sheet, we may or may not even need a legend. We may be, the only reason we would need one is if on multiple pages we have different things, but if every time we use a symbol, or if the first time we use a symbol, we then give it a, an explanation, and say call out or whatever. Oh, and by the way, too, I don't know your preference. If you like to see these things look like that, I'm going to zoom in here a second. Let me see if I can fix that. So I'm at that point. I'm going to go to the symbol, and instead of this, that's SPT2. I don't know that they give you these. You may need to download them. Let me see. SPT2. Look up here for a second. Points with wipe. Yeah, okay. So that's points, right? If we choose points with wipeout, then that SPT2, I don't see a 2, I see a 4. That'll be fine. It'll be slightly larger. So I'll take that one and say okay. And now, I'll click back to paper space. Click that back on. Oops. Endpoint, center, extension. All right. So now you see the difference there.
Yeah.
It's sort of obvious, and it looks like that I've trimmed this line up against that edge. Now,
Yeah, it looks much better.
yeah, no, it's not going to look, I don't think, like a stop sign inside of there. It's going to be, when it prints, it'll look like a circle.
Right.
So, consider doing that, and when you find that on those points, I change that one. It's that symbol, instead of points, it's in points wipeout. Now they've got SPT4W, and I don't see, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, that's just a few of them that they have. They don't have the whole points library done over again. Okay, so, oops, what the heck I thought I was doing it, set points wipeout 4W. Now, what that is and why it's called that is that when you were to break this symbol apart and figure out what it is that circle just like this is, but it also has included with it what's called a wipeout. And a wipeout is where you draw a frame, you draw a shape of something, and if you say wipeout with it, then what it does is it puts it fills that shape you've drawn with the color that's the same as the background, either the background of the screen over here, which is black, or the background of the paper in this situation. Okay, so it just basically just blocks out, it wipes out everything except, and it is something that you can select and get rid of, or select and put above or below certain other things in the drawing. Okay, just like send to back, bring to front. So it's really a nice little thing. And I think this, for instance, this power pole, now go to my wipeouts here, and there is maybe, yeah, there it is. Okay, so you can see the difference. You see how it looks like the line just, yeah. So that's something, but the nice thing about that is that you're not having to trim the lines here. So when I select this, it still goes to that corner. It comes out of the corner, so I can still compute. It's still a closed polyline, all of that. It's just that it sits below that wipeout. And if for whatever reason, sometime you're ever working with these things and this is, it starts to look like that, you say, oh, what happened? I fixed it. Well, what's happened is that, that is still there. It just sits underneath this one. So this one needs to go back to be underneath that wipeout, okay? So just understand that's sort of a vertical hierarchy there. All right, so I'm gonna let you fix all those. Click outside of that, and you say we need to, it's running through Zoom. It's dropping some video here and there. It just did a regen, brought it back. Now, if, all right, so you said we needed to maybe make this bigger because we need to show the other side of the right of way.
Right up the top, we need to show the other side of the right of way.
Up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, we could just label the street name and tell what the right of way width is. That
Yeah.
save us some space.
Yeah, we could do that, and we do either one. Now, what happens is, if you want to draw this other side up here, and that looks like it's maybe a cul-de-sac, and comes out the other side. So you could, on this sheet of paper, you could draw that. Now, obviously, you're drawing it inches instead of feet, but what you need to do is you would be over here, and you would draw it here.
Right.
And in fact, what I would do is that a constant right-of-way width?
Yeah, 60 feet.
And but now and then obviously this is a different, I guess it'll be 30 feet to the center of that cul-de-sac bulb. So you could draw the line, you could offset it 60 feet, although that's going to put this thing over here shaped exactly the same way as that, but 60 feet away. That's why I was asking about this business. So 60 feet is from here, 30 feet to the center line, 30 feet to the center, but I don't know what's the radius on the
radius of that cul-de-sac is 60 feet.
By the right of way or by pavement or right of way is how many feet? 65? 60.
0.
Okay, so the radius is the same as the right of way width back here, so that's fine. And this radius
is 30.
And yeah, and if we don't know, obviously we're going to learn that under inquiry. you can either just do a simple drawing inspector and make sure we turn on our polyline information, or polyline data rather. And we'll take a peek at that, and we see that was on the slope. See, so, okay, obviously the wrong one to worry about. So it's there if we want it. It's the circle stuff I'm after. Curve data, there it is. That's what I'm meant to do. So if I point to that one, there it is, radius 30 feet, arc length 25, 23, chord 24, 43. So come up here, that radius 60.016 feet. So now that's really technically a 60 foot radius. Right. But remember, this is coming after the closure of our deed. Right. Okay. So you know, you would then know how to reflect or to how to continue this circle on around, and we would mirror this guy, and this side over here is 60 feet away. So you could draw all that, and then when you come back in here, to get this to show up, you have to make sure that this is big enough to let that stuff show through. Okay. Otherwise, as you may have noticed, like if this is here, you know, that clips. Right. So this is an absolute kind of, if I want to tighten it up a little bit here. So this is an absolute type of frame. It's an actual clipping of that, of those elements that we want. So now let me turn this off momentarily. And I'm going to scooch that up, say, like so. And now what you might want to consider doing is just put the name of the road up here, parentheses, 60 foot right of way, and be done with it. Yeah. Okay. So and I'll leave that to you. And then, and just like we did up here, in fact, let's take a look at this. The only way we can really tell, I'm going to save this right now, but the only way we can really tell what this is going to look like plot-wise, and this is because it's in telecad. It's the print preview doesn't work in the IntelliCAD yet. They don't have it finished being implemented. So we have to print it as a PDF and look at the PDF. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to print. I'm using drawing a PDF. I'm good to go. Ready to go here. I'm going to say okay, and I'm just going to put it out on my desktop right here. We're just going to call it this ANSI C. And then when I minimize that and I look for
down there below the hard hat,
right there. So when I look at that, see, now you see we drew the frame around this, and I don't see our label. That all looks good, but what happened to our vicinity map label? Oh, I'll tell you what happened to it. No, I won't. I thought I was going to. I thought that we accidentally had it on a layer. We have it on a, I thought we had it on a layer that might not be plotting, but that layer is set to plot, I think. I'll double check that. by going here, and that's called title block notes. Ah, see right there? See in the print column?
Yeah.
I don't know why it's set to not plot. I must have been showing it at one point to somebody and forgot to turn it back. So now I'll turn it back on. All right, and then the next time we plot it, we check it, it'll show up. So we'll say the same thing there. We're on the desktop. We'll just select the same file, overwrite. Put that down, double click there. There now is everything like you're expecting to see it. Okay, so that's what I would do is, and that's the way I do this stuff, is I just keep plotting little things and looking at it and seeing, making sure it all looks good. And I'll zoom to take the whole sheet into account, make sure it all looks good, make sure my margins look even, that kind of stuff. And I say, oh, I can scoot this a little higher up here, maybe a little in there. So use that as you need to double check, because, and yet, you get a certain amount of that sense from this, but there's also a lot of these little red boundaries and stuff that it might interfere with your perception of what's going on here. All right. So figure out the notes you need. Position them where you want them to go. Now, are you familiar with, like, let's say we've got these notes, and they can go, I'm going to put them starting right here, for instance. Maybe right in here, okay? So, let me turn this guy off. I'll right-click, turn off my drawing inspector. Now, so I've got them here. They're obviously sticking off the edge, but you're familiar with multi-text, multi-line text. You can select that and then bring this in to sort of, change the size and shape of all that.
Yeah, no, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, so this is the difference between multi-line text and just regular text, is that you can, multi-line text behaves as a single object.
Right.
So if you select it and come over here and change the text height or the style, it changes the whole thing to be that. Now, if you want individual lines to be different, like that's a different, it's all caps, it's slanted. This is not. When you double click it, it goes into this word editor, this, not word editor, but word processor type editor. Then you can change, you can highlight stuff, and what you highlight, you can make different from the other. You can actually change its, to a different font. Go to the Baha'i, whatever the heck that's called. You can change its color. Now, changing its color here won't help anything, because I've got my plot table is set to plot every color black except for just a few. Now, remember that line I told you about? Because I changed its size, this thing changed itself a little bit. So I'm going to need to move this back into position. Okay, so all of those different things, and then if you're going to move that up, and I will tell you right now, you're going to forget to grab this guy sometimes. I do it. You're just going to grab the text and go to move it, and you're going to say, oh crap, no, what's going on? So just, keep your eye on it. And there's nothing wrong with having to reposition it later.
Can you show me how to make a title block?
Yeah, the title block, meaning your Your name and address and all that? Sure.
Right.
Now we also have this information that you're going to need at some point, perhaps, just whatever you want to show. And maybe that all goes into that title block stuff together. So really, all in the world that stuff is just a bunch of text. Now, what we're going to be shooting for later is we're going to put, instead of those being words of text, we're going to make them fields. And as part of the field, we can store things like, let me change this to, see where it says project name here. I'm going to double click that and it's highlighted. I'm going to right click and say, I'm going to insert a field. And these are all these little placeholders that have different values for it. And there are some things like subject, title, author, comments. These are all document categories. I've got entities. I've got plot categories. I've got sheet set categories. Now this sheet set categories, the current sheet description, the current sheet number, all of those different things, they're here, they're listed, they're supported, but they're not implemented because the IntelliCAD version does not have sheet set support built into it yet, but it's there in case you've got a DWG file that has these things so it doesn't lose that data. There's a sort of a workaround we can fix to it later. I'm not going to burden you with the idea of sheet sets at this point. But what I want you to understand is I'm just going to go here to, what do I want to be on? I want to be on other. No, I just want to be on, I guess, document. Yeah. So here's all of these different things. I see that file name right there. So I'm in the document file name, and you see what it figures out what it is. Okay. The author, which you didn't figure that out. But these all can be, where's there, what, last saved by. Here's the last person who saved this file. So all of this stuff is information that's available. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put in a placeholder for that. Now I'll click back off. Right now it just says project name. And again, we're not going to worry about this today. I just wanted you to see this. Is that when you are working on a file, we're going to have these as little placeholders, but we're going to have in our file menu under drawing utilities, we're going to choose drawing properties. And these are 4 tabs at the top. Here's my general stuff like the date it was created, the size, the location, summary. I can type a title. Now this tends to be what we're doing here now. It refers to this file, which is RAI 20010.dwg. So I can give it comments, I can give keywords, I can type, my name is an author, give it a subject, give it a title, which is separate from the file name. Okay, so this title might be, the Charlestown Industrial Park or whatever we want to call it. But what we're going to do mostly out of all of these tabs is hit this custom button, and we're going to just add what we need. So I'm going to add a custom field called project, and I'll just abbreviate proj name. And I'm going to give it a value. Now that's the value it's going to have right now in this file. And this file is going to be, what's the name of this project that you want to be on your title block?
That's a good question. I call it, minor subdivision of lots 40 and 41 in the Burr Industrial Park.
Okay, so minor subdivision lot. What do we say? Lots.
41. Lots 40 and 41.
40 and 41. All right, let's do that one, and we'll add proj name 2. And oh, sorry, now to give that a value, and that would be, what was the name of the subdivision?
Let me dig it out here and get it off the flat.
Yeah, go ahead and just go ahead and type it in.
Oh, okay.
Okay, say okay to that. And whatever else we might want to have, if you want to have the sheet number, let's hit the add button.
Well, I don't need the sheet number, but I need the district and the county and state.
Okay, all right. I'm just thinking, and it's not necessarily in this one little piece of this title. It's anything you might want to use at all for this file that we can use anywhere else. Okay, like you might want to put down there, you know, date of recordation, and it's just information you're tracking. Okay, you don't even have to show it on your title block, but it's just stuff you can use. Okay, so this is what you say it needed to be the borough, or yeah, so give it a name. This is the name of the field, not the information, just the name of the field. There you go, like district or district info or whatever else, and then you're going to give it a value. Okay, so now if you get what I'm getting, what we're working toward is when we start to build that template file, we're going to give that template file these same types of things, except we're not going to give them values. We're going to give them just blanks to start with. And you'll have to go once and set this up under your file properties in the new drawings that you make, because they're going to have those fields. They're just not going to have any values yet until you put them in once, and then they stay. Okay. All right, and they stay, you know, and they're different for each drawing. But the template will have the field definitions. So that's where we're headed with this.
Okay.
All right, so what else do we need? Do you need to plot the sheet number, the sheet of a total number, filing date, like you want a submittal date? Do you need to do a drawn by, check by, that kind of stuff? Any of that stuff that you can think of, let's add. Okay. You know, any of that stuff that will tend to be standard across the board of different drawings.
This needs to be called a final plat too, which should be at the
all right, so that would be like what you're looking at to the right over there would be what I call the drawing title.
yeah.
Okay, so we're going to add, and let's call that sheet title.
Sheet title?
Sheet title, yeah. And I called it drawing title, but that gets confusing sometimes because, you know, a DWG is a quote drawing file. So that should be fine like that. Now, for now, let's say okay. And we'll go to the file, or either pull down the file menu and choose save, or hit the little disk icon, whatever. I just want to make sure we save the file that we've got so far. Now let's start to build your text. And so since you've already got something already done, let's take that.
I'm gonna have to go through these notes and completely revise them.
Oh yes, absolutely. But I don't want to waste our time,
Sure.
the time you're spending to get this, to do it. But so go through, you know, read these notes, and there's a lot of them I don't think they're capitalized. I think
Right. Yes.
you know, so you have to fix that. You have to change things that don't apply. Also, if you ever need, you know, do you ever need to put down this kind of information? You know, so look at all those. Here's your, what do you guys have, Miss Utility?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have call before you dig. If
For a
it
survey
takes,
plat, I don't think I need to put that stuff.
no, yeah, that's right. Like I said, this is all sort of construction based. Now, so let's take this. I'm going to select it on, there's 3 pieces of text, and I'm just going to use them because they're already sized and sort of ready to go. And I'm going to move. So I'm going to right click, move, and I'm just going to sort of get up here and give it some generalized eyeballs. I'm going to move it down in here, and I'm going to now rotate those as well. So I'm going to come over here to my toolbar on the right hand edge. I'm going to choose rotate. I'm going to say P for previous because those were the 3 things I had done before. And I'm going to give it a rotation point. Again, just eyeballing it at this point. And it wants to know my angle. I'm going to go minus 90 because rotations in a CAD file are always counterclockwise positive. So there's now that. And then I may select them again and just press and hold the mouse and sort of get it to where it needs to go. But now if you have other stuff that you need to show in there, like sheet number, filing date, all of those different stuff, then just rearrange these things as you need. Now, so these are here, but now they say project name and it's just a piece of text. You see I select that and then look over here in my properties, they see it's just text. So let's do this. We're going to double click that. In fact, I'm gonna let you do it from here on out. And so now this is as if we are editing the text. If we were to start typing something, it would replace that. So that's what we're going to do, except we're going to right click and choose insert field. Okay. And the field we want, remember we were working on document categories. So that field category document up there, that was, we pulled that down. What else do we have? We've got document, we should have, choose all for right now. There's something I'm missing. Yeah, okay, we have to switch it to all here. And there you see, there's one that you typed in called county. Yeah. See it? Mm-hmm. So we're gonna look for the project name. So PROJ name. There it is. So we want the project name. There that is. And you can see the format you can choose. You can have uppercase, lowercase, first capital, title case, or since we typed it in uppercase, it didn't matter, but that's fine. We use uppercase, say okay. And there it is. Now we obviously need to reposition that, or not reposition it, but we still, here's what I don't understand why that, I think that's just the name of it, but what? We'll have to take a look at that. It gives the name of the field beside it, and I don't know why, and whether you can turn that on and off. But let's leave that for a second. So now let's do the same other thing. We're going to double click this, or just, well, let's single click it first because we have to move it. So right click, move. No. What the heck? Oh, I'm sorry. I see what it's doing is it's still editing. So let's escape. Now, select this line of text, which I did already, and right click, move, and slide it down because we're going, or copy. Let's copy. All right, okay. Pardon? I missed what you asked. Yeah, copy instead of move. Yeah, okay. And just go straight down with it to make a second line underneath it. So remember, it's asking from and to. Always read your prompts. So click a point as your specified base point. So and then go straight down. There you go. Right in there is fine. Right there. Click. Okay. Now, did you click it?
Return for exit.
Pardon?
Return for exit.
And well, you could, or just escape at this point. Okay. Now, let's edit this second line of text, just like we did that top one. So I'm going to double click it. Okay. And now, like I said, you could just start typing words, or because we have the information in the field, we're going to right click and choose insert field. And the field we want to insert is, what's the next one we have there? Okay, there you go. Okay, and just want to see, this is, oh, I know what it's doing. It's not doing the name. It actually left this as extra text. When we said insert a field, it didn't replace it because it wasn't highlighted when we did the insert field. I'm so sorry. That's my lack of familiarity with that editor. All right, so I'm going to take this now and reposition. Now, when we do it, so now double click your third line. All right, and now take your mouse and drag across all of those letters in that third line. Let's see, one more. I think you let up on the mouse, so you have to go back and try it again. There you go. Now let the mouse up. Now right click the mouse and choose insert field. And you want to insert, what's next? County? It was up the top, but it's alphabetical. Okay. All right, now press the delete key. That's what we should have done, was deleted the text first. Oops. Here, let me fix this for you real quick. Let me just delete that, and now we'll insert a field, county. What? Oh, there it is. Okay. And now finally, we'll select this text.
Actually, I think should go above this because it's final file.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And that's what we'll do. We'll just position it. Again, we're just taking stuff. We had it there. We had it sized. So I selected. I highlight, delete. I insert, and that was we called it a sheet title. So there it is. But now, and I'll finish the command. I have to, because it keeps trying to make me edit. So I'll now select this and then just bring it up to like so, okay?
Okay.
And then now everything that you want. Now, remember, you can also make that whole thing a single block of text, which is called multi-line text, but that can get a little hard to control.
We're missing between, underneath of the subdivision of lot 40 and 41 should be Burr Industrial Park.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Where that was.
Well, we didn't have it yet, and here's a great way to show that. So I'm going to select these two lines right here, and I'm going to, oops, sorry, not that, not by the point, but I'll go over here, and I'm just going to move them down a little bit, okay? And I'm going to take this line, and I'm going to say copy, and I'm going to go from here to here, okay? Because and it's just a piece, it's another piece of text. You highlight it, you look over here and see it's text, but it's, and you notice it's gray background. That doesn't plot that way. That's just telling you that that's a field that has placeholder. So now double click that, select all that text, hit the delete key. Now right click, insert field. And that was that project name 2.
I'm trying to remember what we called it.
I just saw it. It was project name 2. Okay, there you go. Now, just to show you what you can do now, see, we're going to be finished with that. Now, you can do this. Oh, sorry, it was loud. You can do the
company name and all that stuff.
wherever you would like to see it, or that's what I'm saying. Remember all those samples we had, like Appalachian had theirs and the little logo, and
yeah.
It can be like that, or it can be just sort of drawn off in a little block off to the side. Any way that we want to do that is fine. And again, I have a little graphic of mine. I have a, I can't get that to sit down. See, I've got a little graphic of mine. That's really all that is a scan of my business card. Again, that's why I'm not hugely in favor of these smallish sheets, and especially if I need to get this many. If I need that many lines for an approval block, a submittal block, that that may be overkill for what I'm doing. So I may make this smaller. I don't think we can get this much smaller than it needs to be. That's the size of your seal, and that's your attestation. But we could do something here with this.
I want to change that surveyor certificate. I can just go in and double click that and change it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it's just text, right? So the same thing is this. These are all pieces of text. We just move them around. Now, what you can do is, and again, thinking long terms toward when we're working on the template, we could have a field that says, surveyor of record, or, but it's going to always be used. So that's no real benefit to doing that. But we could put all that stuff out as individual pieces of text. Now, here's what I want you to remember and keep in mind. Again, this is just text, but these were all done through fields, and a field is nothing more than just a special piece of text. And if you are drawing, let's do draw text. if I can, here it is. And I'm going to do, instead of standard, I'm going to do multi-line text. I'm going to click right here. And I'm just going to sort of make this, okay? And let's say I'm going to say this is the, and if I right click and choose, let's insert a field, which was my project or my sheet title rather. So this was my final plat of, I'll do that again, insert a field, and that'll be my project name. So, and then of the, insert field, sorry. So any of these, and that's why I like sheet title, you know, which is, or sheet number, I was going to say located out in my backyard, you know, so whatever, it's just plain, it's just text. And I'll say, okay, and you know, you see the ones that are gray, those are the fields, those are the placeholders. Right. And this is a paragraph. I can, you know, resize it so that it doesn't. So 40, 41, yeah, there, of the Burr Industrial Park. So I've got a field here, a field here, a field here, and it's all just part of that. These are all individual pieces of text. They don't have to be. That's what I wanted to show you. They can be like that, and they can also be that, you know, the first line of this stuff. Let's say we go up to here, and we hit the enter key. So you're not restricted to making the lines break at, you know, by dragging the edges. You can do these anywhere they happen to fall. So if you put a purposeful enter key at the end of each of those lines, then it goes like such. And notice they're all lined up on the left. So if I select that and change its justification from top left to top center, then that's what that looks like. Now you have to imagine when you print it, you're not going to see the gray background. Right. Okay. And then these can also, let's say what is it, 0.125 is my text height, but maybe on this one, I want that to be 0.08. All right, so like I said, if it's, and maybe the same thing right there. So play around with that and figure out how, and so I would do your company name and all of that information. However you want to see that done, I would maybe take it. I'm gonna drag this guy down here for right now. I just wanted to show you that, and you can, you know, you can replace it with this, and it can all just be plain text. You don't have to use these fields, but when you do have these fields, if you almost always have a sheet title, a project name, a second line project name, the district and the county, if that's always there, get in the habit of doing that and filling it out once through drawing utilities.
I may be wrong about this, but didn't I see somewhere under one of the drop-down menus where it actually says title block?
Yes, you did, and I'm going to discourage you from looking at that because here's the way it works. Yeah, that's a holdover from a long time ago, and that is, let's see if I can find it. I don't think it's.
I watched one of the Carlson videos, and they used that.
Well, of course, because, well, and there, here it is. And see, there's all this title block, standard title block, a mortgage block. So let's say if I do a standard title block, now what they're looking to do, so he has this stuff, a title is, and there's this kind of thing, okay, which you can draw yourself and store yourself. But what they're saying is that if you do this, these available title blocks, or well, where do these things come from? Well, they have to be files that are named very specific names and stored in a very specific location. And then they're talking about, you know, what scale do you want, what paper size do you want, but that's if you're plotting out a model space. We're not doing that. We're much beyond that nowadays. We plot out of paper space,
Okay.
so that we can have multiple sheets out. So in that regard, yes, you were correct. You saw it, but it's an old tool, and it was something very good in the days before the CAD systems ever had paper space. And you know, it's still there as a legacy tool. Now, also when you're doing this, take a look at this particular line of text. I look at that and I'm going to scroll over here and find the height. Well, that's 0.375. So that's what, 3/8 of an inch tall on my sheet. Now that may be much larger than I want to see, or it might be exactly what I want to see. All right, you're just going to have to be the judge of that, or if they govern for you that you have to have it a certain size. In fact, I think they said our minimum text was 0.125. That's our 1/8 of an inch. Okay, but look at these, any of this stuff that you may want. And see, this was set up as text, and I would do that as a field as well. I would put this as my submittal date.
Right.
What else? I have a job number. I usually track that in every job and plot it on every sheet. And therefore, I would have it as a drawing properties field. I usually have a sheet number, and I have a sheet sequence. That's 1 of 19, which is a total number of sheets. Okay. But again, I'm used to having, you know, 150, 160 sheets in a project that goes in for a construction project. You're going to have 1, sometimes 2 sheets. So you may or may not even need that or have to worry about it. And it might be something you're just going to type a piece of text once and forget it and go on. But that's the kind of stuff we're headed toward. Okay. So, and if you want this stuff, you know, set apart in these little kind of blocks like this, then those are just drawn lines. You know, so you just draw them and have it fit, and off you go. You're going to check these. If I can. All right, so you're going to, you know, check those notes and see if any of them or all of them or however many of them are going to apply. You're going to, you know, look at these symbols. And whenever I see stop signs, I like to give a good regen so I get the rounded corners. You're going to think about maybe freezing the point numbers, but not the descriptions. We've got the line weights. We also had, remember, the power pole had those.
Descriptions on those. How do I do that?
You need to do what now?
Change the descriptions on those. I just have them called corners. They're going to be either round cap rebar or set cap rebar.
Gotcha. Just double click.
Okay.
Just double click that point. In fact, you see that 303? I think it says found number 5 rebar.
Yeah.
If you double click that, or go up and double click number 304. There you go. Yeah. Now you're in the field. So now double click there you go. Now you're editing the point. And so up at the top now, the tabs at the top, you want to choose the general tab. The symbol tab is what we would change it to that bigger circle with the white wipeout.
Okay, and how do I do that? I do want
Either,
to change the symbol.
yeah, you would either click that button or the button over to the right of the field name that says set.
Okay.
And then you're going to want to pull that down at the top and make sure it says points wipeout. Now that's where it is. It will probably be normally sitting on points, but you're going to use points wipeout. Yeah. Okay. And now just switch to the tabs under the general, and now where it says description. Now here's two descriptions. One is in the drawing and one is in the coordinate file, and they can be separate and apart from. That's what field to finish is sort of built around. But you're going to probably want to put that same description in both places. So I would type it here, and then I would highlight that and choose copy, you know, whatever it is you want it to say. And then I would, you know, right click that and choose copy. And then I would go right down to the field right underneath it and right there you go, paste it. And that way, when you look at your coordinate list, you're going to see them agree with everything. All right. And there they are. They're labeled, but now they're sort of inconvenient as to where they are.
Yeah.
Remember how you move those is you can either do one of two things. And look on the points menu. What we're talking about are point attributes. So we're looking all in that block of commands. One of which is you can move point attributes with a leader, and that takes the whole block of attributes, which would include the point number and the elevation and the description, and let you reposition that, and it builds a little square block of all that information and draws an arrow down to it. Probably not what we're going to want to see on each of these, but you might want to just move the point attribute. Okay, and so when you choose that, it prompts you to select the attribute to move. So you can, exactly right, you're going to click now and get, yes, you're going to place it where it needs to go. And then it's going to ask you for a rotation. You can just hit escape at this point, or even just hit enter and let it take what it needs to take. Now, I think you didn't get, I think when you clicked it, it snapped it back. So make sure you're not snapping on anything. So it looks like you're fine.
Escape.
Well, I would put it, you know, get it where you want it to go, and you have to click the mouse to make that be the click. Now it's wants the rotation. At this point, just hit enter. There it is. Okay.
Now, what font is that?
That is, it's in a, now it's still in your command. So if you're done with the command, you would enter, but that is written in a style that the point is written in. So if you select it, like go ahead and select that description or the point number, either one. So that's the point. And look over in your property, you can see it says all to. And if you pull that all down, you see there's a block reference and there's a point. So the point is the actual CAD point entity, which we don't care about. We're trying to find about the block reference. So we can choose that block reference. And you see it's going to tell us what layer it's on, all this kind of stuff, but it doesn't tell us anything about what it is made of. It tells us the rotation. I see that down at the bottom. Tells us the block name, SRVPN01. But I can't really change any of that stuff. But what it is made from is when they've made that block, the block that they use to show where a point is when you do a draw locate points, it was made with a special text style for those attributes, and that is called PTXT. It stands for point text. And if you want that to be something other than what you're looking at, then all you have to do, go ahead and hit escape so that you're no longer selecting the point. All you have to do is redefine the style of PTXT. And you do that one of two ways. You can go to the draw menu, I think, and look under text, and then choose set style. Okay, you can see where that is there. Or go ahead and instead of doing it there, well, go ahead and do it there. I'll show you what it looks like. So you set style, and now the current style name is legend. So we're going to pull that down, and we're going to scroll till we see PTXT, which is right there, and we choose that. And now there's your IC, which stands for IntelliCAD, Roman S, which stands for, Roman simplex. So if you want that to be, I don't know, Calibri or Arial or,
Can it be Arial?
It can be anything you see in that list there, and Arial is included.
I kind of like Arial.
Yeah, one thing too, though, is that Arial tends to be a little wide. Okay. So if you have those long descriptions like you just typed in, you might want to choose Arial narrow. It's still Arial, but it's just compressed a little bit. There you go. And then you say okay. And yes, that's fine. So now that takes up a little bit less width than it would otherwise.
I think that looks better, don't you?
I do, I agree. Now, so that's one place to change that style. And again, if that's the style you want to use for your points all the time, then let's go over here, and we want to redefine our style in this drawing over here. This is our template that we're building, right?
Yeah. And
so remember, we can do that one of two ways. I can go over here and just run the command again, or I can go over, have them both open. I'll choose my icon right here next to that pull down, which is my Drawing Explorer. And I see both files here. I go to my text styles here. And all right, there's the one that used Arial narrow. And I'm going to drag it and drop it right there. And now I look under title blocks, text style, PTXT, Arial narrow. So you just copy from there and drop it right into there. And then just make sure you save each of your files. And here's another thing is when you're, sorry, not another thing is, but another way, when I'll show you about changing the style of that point, another way to change that style, instead of choosing draw text set style, you can type the command style and enter, that's what you just did, or you can go to this Drawing Explorer and come down here and say text styles, and it's a little different format. You see, you remember you had to pull down and choose from a sort of a squarish looking menu.
Yeah.
But this lets you do the same thing. There's all your fonts, etc., just from inside of here. Okay, so either way, either of those is perfectly legitimate. Either way. Okay. Now, if you should happen to want this found number 5 rebar W/cap to be on 2 lines, like found number 5 rebar and then underneath it with cap, then you can't do this as a drawing description. That's going to be a piece of text that you have to use. Okay, because that description is one line of text. Now you could do a number of things. I remember I saw some of the Platts And those samples you gave me were round circles, and they look like little daisies. You know, they look like they have little flower petals in the middle. And I forget, and that went into the legend as a, I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was a set rebar, or maybe it was a found rebar with a cap. So you could do that. Instead of having this called out at every corner, you could just include that in your legend.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so
The only one that would be different is 311 and 302, which are going to be set. Number 5.
okay. All right, so now, and here is some of the convention that I'm used to seeing in terms of found and set. And again, it's coming from a slightly different perspective out of the engineering world as opposed to the surveying world. But for us, existing things, that's your found rebars. So existings tend to be lighter weight. They tend to be not colored in. And sometimes they're, in terms of text, like with PennDOT, they always, anything existing is italics, text-wise. Anything proposed is in straight up and down text. Also, drawn-wise, it is heavier line work, and it's, you know, a little more emphasized. So, and sometimes the existing geometry is grayed, you know, it's lighter as well as skinnier. So any and all of those differentiations. So like I would, in terms of these rebars, I'm used to doing found rebars as open circles and set rebars as colored in black circles. You know, they're the whole size of it is solid black.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Okay, and let's see if, all right, I'm going to double click out of that viewport. So I'm out here on the sheet. And let's go over here and look in our legend and see what we might have. I've got, yeah, see, like that, well, that's a bad example. There's an existing iron pin. It's an open circle, and I think I just did that because of that clean out symbol. But I don't, see, it also wasn't a survey job, so I didn't really have a proposed iron pin. But yeah, okay, I was just looking to see if there's something we could steal. There's not. So we would make our own. So which one is your found, or which one is your set rebar?
This one's going to be set. That one's going to be set.
And that's set up there.
312, 311, and 302.
Yeah. Okay. So to show you that distinction, if you want to see those solid circles, just double click one of those and change its symbol. Remember, it's one of the tabs. There you go. And go ahead. And now, see, these are the ones with the wipeout. Now, those are the ones that are going to look like they're white, you know, because of the sheet. So go up to the top and pull that category down. Instead of points wipeout, just go up one to points, just regular old points. And you want that SPT 5. You see, it's black.
What's the difference between 3 and 5?
3 is smaller. 3 was like 2, remember, but we didn't have a 2 with a wipeout. We only had a 4 with the wipeout.
Now, if I go back to general, since I'm going to have a legend.
Yeah, you have a legend. Yeah, you could, or you could just simply freeze that layer. I would do what you just said. No, first, I would, for your drawing description, I would just delete it. But for your CRD file description, you might type in set rebar, because remember, that's information for you when you look at your point lists. And it doesn't have to be, you know, formalized exactly the way you would see it on the plat, but you want it to be available to you at some point. Now, the reason I would say take that description out, make it blank for the drawing description, is because, you know, I was telling you that you could just freeze the point descriptions,
Yeah.
but that freezes them for every point. And there may be another point somewhere that you put in that you want to use the description, and you're not going to put it in the legend. You're just going to have it label it. So that's a good move to clear it out. Now, look what it's asking you for. It wants the rotation. So you have to hit enter. You've already hit the root. All right, so there you go.
Okay, well, I can work on all of that.
Yep.
Over the weekend.
Okie doke.
And you want to send you something?
I was going to say any of the stuff that we make, you can send back and forth, but I think this is okay. I don't know that I need. I was going to say whatever progress we've got done, but I think as we're working, I'm just looking at your screen. I think that's fine. All right. One other thing that I would suggest you do is we're going to want to show a north arrow and a bar scale too.
Yes.
So here's a couple of things to keep in mind. We need the north arrow, of course, needs to be pointing to where north is, and you can see it with your little UCS icon there in the lower left corner while we're double clicked inside the viewport. Okay.
Yeah.
If we double click back outside, or if we even double click inside the vicinity map viewport, it doesn't have a rotation, so its north would be straight up. So how do you get your north arrows in at the right rotation? And you do that in this fashion. You need to be in the viewport that you want to put it in. So let's double click inside there. And now we want that viewport to go, or the north arrow, sorry, to go in to that viewport at a 0 rotation so that it points to its local north, which is, you know, like between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And then we are going to position it where it needs to go, you know, on our sheet. Now, here's the sort of the issue sometimes. If we wanted to do that, make it match up, it would go, it basically, when we draw it, while we are sitting here double clicked inside of this viewport, it is creating it actually in the model itself, in model space, when we're seeing it. But anything that we draw when we're not inside a viewport, when we're double clicked outside of it, is drawn on that sheet of paper only. Okay. So let's say, all right, we go in here and we say, well, it's fine. I'm going to put a north there, and I'll move it up here. Well, maybe on another sheet, you need to show that same area, but you don't want to see the north arrow there. You need something else to go there. So there's a trick. And what we're going to do is we're going to generate the north arrow. We're going to create it from inside of here. So it's made out in model space, but we're going to then take it from there and put it into this sheet of paper, and it takes it out of the model. So I don't have to worry about that. Now, what the trade-off is, though, that if I need a north arrow on another sheet of paper with another viewport, I got to go copy that north arrow or go grab it from somewhere else. So it's all sort of
where I need to be careful about rolling
rolling the mouse was when you're inside it like that, and you set a scale. Now, remember though, when we set it and we got it centered and we were satisfied with it,
we locked it.
We double clicked outside of it, so we're back on the paper, and then we selected it by clicking once with the mouse, and we went to the properties and we locked it where it says display locked. Okay. Now, there's something else too. Sometimes you're going to be as you're getting these set and they're not locked to begin with, and maybe you're going to double click inside and you're going to zoom way in like this, or you're, you know, what, or maybe you're, let's say if it's not locked yet and you're in paper space, when you zoom in and out, you're zooming in and out on the paper. If you double click in it and zoom in and out, if it is not locked, you're zooming the scale of the drawing that shows in that viewport, okay?
Right.
But when it is locked, it switches back and forth between paper space and model space to do the zooming. But now here's the trick. So sometimes you'll do that and you'll forget that a viewport is unlocked and you'll change it. But if you're ever in, and this is another issue, let's say I've zoomed in, or I've zoomed in while I'm in paper space, so I'm getting this ready. And let's say, oh, I zoom in here and I get it. Oh, okay, now I want to see, I don't want to know where I am. So if I double click now, you see that red frame that tells me I'm inside the viewport and I can do whatever I want to do or need to do. And if I want to go back out, well, I can't get the mouse outside of there to double click it like I've been having you to double click outside the viewport.
Yeah.
So here's the super secret handshake. As you look down here at this title bar, or status line rather, where it says M-NCC,
Yeah.
17 by 22. Well, see, it says model or paper space. That's exactly what it is. And it tells me with that M that I'm in model space. So if I just double click it, it switches to now it's in paper space. Double click it again, your model space, and back and forth. So if you're ever down here and you zoomed way in on the paper, you switched into the model space and to do some work, and now you want to switch back out, but you, oh crap, if I scroll back out, I'm changing the scale. This is only a concern if it's not locked. But if you ever find yourself in that situation, you want to get back to the paper space view so that you don't change the scale, you just come down here and double click that and make sure it says P. And then when you do this, it's the paper that's scaling, not the viewport. Okay? There was one other thing I thought of that you might have liked to see, and I don't recall. All right, anyway, work on your symbols. Oh yeah, we were talking about that north arrow. So if we're here inside of this, let's make that north arrow. So I'm going to double click inside, or you could even, let's not do that. Let's just go to model space and we'll just do it here. And let's say, remember now what we're doing happens to be an annotative type thing. And this is going to be where we're going to put some cool stuff on our plat to annotate it, one of which is going to be draw north arrow, draw bar scale, and that sort of stuff. There's your coordinate point tables if you're using point tables, etc. You can draw a coordinate grid. Remember how you had to put the grid ticks for the state plane?
Yeah.
All right, so that's how you would do that. But now, of course, this won't have that. It's not on state plane. But they still want, grid ticks? I mean, you can give them the local 1,000-foot grid ticks or something, but that won't help them any for what they're trying to do. And there's also what's called survey text, which these building dimensions, for instance, would type the
text, I'm going to need that.
Yeah. And and you got the survey text defaults, and that's things like, what layer they go on, what style use what size, and that your building dimensions, here's your offset dimensions, and that's your, those are the, you know, the perpendicular pulls to the property line is what they're talking about there. And then the adjoiners and you know, what layer and stuff they go on. Okay. All right, so now go ahead and I'm gonna let you draw the north arrow, but keep in mind now, and this is real easy to forget, and I do this all the time, even today, I've done this for 40 years, is I'll get in a hurry and I wanna hurry up and finish something, and I don't take the time to think about what layer I'm on. I just start slapping stuff in there, and then later on I get frustrated because I have to go back and change it. So get in the habit of, if you need a new layer, make one, or if not, choose, you know, switch to be on that different layer. So I'm going to go there and I'm going to look for a layer that says north or arrow or something like that. And I see, I don't really see one, so maybe I would just call it, you know, north or north arrow or in arrow or something.
So a new layer.
Yes, correct. Yep. Yeah, I'd give it a color if you want, anything like that. I would give it also a yeah, and I would give it also a line weight. See where it says default. I would
Where do I do that?
well, right there you pull it down. Yeah, if I just saying be you know, be aware of whatever north arrows you may use, and whether if they're too heavy, you may need to change the line weight and stuff. But default's fine to try for now. All right, so there's that, and let's go ahead and make it current by double clicking on it or click to the left of it there. I think we'll do it as well. Okay. Now we're going to draw the north arrow. And there you go. So the symbol name, you can select right there where your mouse is. Yep. And there's all the different ones. Now there are, if you pull that symbol category down at the top, very pull down, it may or may not be other, okay, that's it. That's the only category they have. And you can control it. You can make you make your own library of all different stuff, but you know, you may find one that you like. You can take one of those and, you know, modify it, whatever, however you want to do it.
So I'm going to have to label it as to what the north refers to.
Yeah. Okay. And that's fine. You can just, whatever you put on there, you can just draw a piece of text next to it if you like. Okay. So now, you see that label geodetic versus magnetic north. You could.
Oh, that says what is that? Where is that? That's magnetic angle.
Yeah. Well, if you check the box above it to the left where it says label magnetic north, right there. Okay. Go ahead. So now it's saying the prefix is going to say magnetic angle, and then it would. You know, so if there is anyway, it's a, and what does it say? The label says MN, standing for magnetic north.
But it would actually be
So,
a geodetic north. Well, no, I'm not on.
no, correct. You're not on a projection. So
I'm not on a projection, but the plot I've rotated to is.
okay. Now, are you going to have a double north arrow? Are you going to show both norths?
No,
Or
I don't think so.
yeah, because you're going to also say in your notes, you're going to say, you know, basis of bearing is such and such.
Right.
So none, you may not need to worry about labeling either geodetic or true north, and you just draw a piece of text up beside it. Okay. Yep. and it wants an insertion point. Now here's the trick. Just click like maybe inside that building, something that you know is going to be seen in your drawing sheet. Okay, so right there. All right, now, and that right now is the relative size that it's going to be, which is, might be a little small, I'm not sure, but here's how we fix all that. We're going to, now that that's done here, we're going to go back to the paper space, click, and there you see that would be the size of your north arrow, but it lives in model space. So let's double click inside that model space, okay? And let's select that arrow, and then, or you could type the command first. You may have to type the command first, I'm not sure. But anyway, if we select that arrow, we're going to issue a command called change space, which is CHSPACE. And that means I'm going to change space from model to paper or paper to model.
Return, enter.
Correct. So enter. It says set the target viewport active and press enter to continue. So the target is our paper space. So double click outside of that. And now hit enter. Did that work? My goodness. No. All right, let's see, let's try it again. If I double click in here, now, instead of selecting it first, just type CH space again. All right, hit enter. Now select the entity, so select the north arrow and hit enter. Set the target viewport active and press enter to continue.
Double click outside.
Well, I shouldn't have to do that. If I just, okay, so instead of double clicking, what I did was I single clicked it and then hit enter. So you single click outside it, hit enter. And you see what happened was set the target viewport active. So I clicked out here once and hit enter. And it says one object was moved from model space to paper space, and they were scaled by a factor of 0.025 to maintain the visual appearance. So that's what change space does, is it keeps it looking the same size. But now here's the difference. When I select this guy and I move it around, it's no longer inside that little bucket, you know, and I can even straddle the line. But if in fact, I'll put it right down here because I know that's where, or at least near, where my UCS icon comes back in. And if I double click here now, see how that's parallel to that? Okay, but it is in paper space. So now I can pick this thing up. I can move it. Maybe here's where it makes sense. Maybe over here's where it makes sense. So it doesn't matter. I'm not restricted to being within the frame of reference. I can also look at it and see that it's, if I do a distance, say from here to here, it tells me that it is, you know, basically an inch long. Well, is that long enough? Or do I want it to be an inch and a half? In which case you could maybe change its scale from 1 to 1.5. So my scale factor would be 1.5. So now that's about an inch and a half. And I can just move that around where we need to go. Okay. So same thing with the drawing scale. If you double click inside it so that you're inside model space, or if you do this out in the model tab, then you're going to All right, so we have a north arrow. Let's make another layer. So I'm gonna let you do this. So go create yourself a new layer. There you go. And let's call it bar scale. And might as well make it current while you're at it. And you don't, I wouldn't worry about the color, you can just leave it white. Okay. Because you're not going to see the color in paper space unless we use whatever the style table says.
Model space or in paper space?
Yeah, well, we're in model space right now. We're in the model, but we are looking at it from the paper space layout. So that's why everything looks black. But if we go back to model space, we have green lines and yellow lines and all that. Okay. So none of that really matters. But so if you can do it from either place. I'm just saying, just be aware. If you try to change a color there, here's the only place you're going to see it because it's my page setup that's controlling what that color looks like. No, there it is. No, your layer name, make sure, was that what you called it? I think maybe you have a space in yours. So hit that select button and make sure you choose the one that you, there it is. Yeah. Okay, say okay. I think that other one is either a default or it was the last thing you had. And now, at this point, you're going to put in whatever scale that is over there in their drawing, okay? Now again, keep it inside the property so you can see it. We're going to do that change space bit again.
Put it in there, you mean?
Yeah. Okay. Now go back to your paper space. Well, except I would go to the NCC one. Okay. Now you're going to type CH space again. Okay. You're going to select the bar scale. Enter and enter. Now set the target viewport, so click outside of it once and hit enter. What happened? All right, you're through selecting, so click and or hit enter. Now click outside of that once with the left mouse button. Still not. What's going on here? Let me see. All right, change space. Oops. I select this guy. Set the target viewport. Click. Must not have been what I did. Change space. Select my entity. Select the target viewport. Wow, I think all you do is just sit, you just click, you just hit enter. What I did just then was I hit the right mouse button, but that's what it's set to do. All right, so now we have the right scale, right? But we don't have it rotated correctly. And we've got this, we can move it. Let's say we moved it, say we wanted it down here off to the side, but you see how it's not the right orientation. That's because it went in at the 0 angle, but relative to its rotated coordinate system. So now it's a very simple matter of, well, here's a block, the block reference, see up here, and it's called bar scale, is the name of it, and it is at a rotation. Now that I'm in paper space, I see that rotation is south 857 for something E. So I just select it, I go to that field, and I just type E. And now it's all rotated around right, and I can move it and put it wherever it needs to go, either here, or maybe you've got it down here, you know, wherever and however you want it to be. And I typically also, I always redefine my blocks to include a statement like this. Let's see, I'll change this one. So justify top center. And I'll be right in there. And I'll be 0.08 at east. And I'm going to say scale in feet. Okay. Now, the reason I like to say scale in feet is I've seen too many lawsuits where, and some people insist on doing this. They insist on saying 1 inch equals 40 feet. But what happens if this is ever just slightly reduced or slightly enlarged on reproduction? And then somebody pulls out a scale and starts measuring the map, and it's not 1 inch equals 40 feet. It might be 0.965 inches equals a foot. And I've seen, especially in old mind mapping areas, where things were actually drawn at half scale, or they were drawn at some arbitrary reduction to fit on a microfiche card. And so they plotted those maps and they whip out their scale. And I've seen people actually drill shafts down into the ground, hoping to hit, you know, one of the drifts, because they scaled it and they were way off. And it's not trivial to drill a hole in the earth. You know, that costs some money. So anyway, that's what I like to do, is to make sure it says scale in feet. I typically redraw my bar scales to include those as a separate block, but that's another day, another lesson. Just make sure you remember that right now there are two different things. There's a piece of text and there's that block. So if you move one, move them both, and you'll be all right. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else that we can think of? We're getting closer here, and I think if you'll work on those corners, and once you're happy with like these symbols and the descriptions, or whether or not we're going to use them, and if we're not, then I would you know, again, double click inside of there and change its DWG description to blank so that you can make a legend. We'll do that. Same thing for your power poles. You may or may not want it to say.
So I'll take off the powerful description too.
Yeah, I would do, and I would just put that. Yeah, in fact, I think we've got something similar to that. I think I called it an existing. Well, there was my overhead utility, and it was just lines there, and I think I had the poles. Yeah, okay. So that's what we'll do, is we can do it like that. And it can either be two symbols in the legend, one for the pole, one for the line, or you can combine the two, much like we do for this. You know, I don't call this a fence post or anything. It's yeah. So anyway, like I said, we're getting there. I think you can see where we're headed and why and how.
Okay, when do you think our next session can be?
Well, let's see. I would rather it be sooner than later. I don't want to keep pushing this every, you know, because every time we get together, if it's a whole week.
Yeah. I really need to get this plat out pretty soon.
Yeah, in fact, why don't you work on this over the weekend and let's get back together either Monday. Let me double check what I've got going on Monday. I think I'm good. Yeah, let's just plan a session for Monday. Maybe at if you think you're going to get it ready, or at least all the changes you can think of, and get things and try them out, Mike. Put things where you think they're going to look good, and we'll get them ready to go, and then we'll take a look and scrub the drawing before we send it in. So let's plan, let's say Monday morning at maybe 10 o'clock,
Okay.
11. Is that good for you, or?
Sure. 10 o'clock is fine.
Okay, and Monday's good. So, or if you need to wait till Tuesday, you just let me know. I don't keep pushing you a week each time.
How much time do you want to?
Oh, I wouldn't think we would need more than an hour or two at most. You're welcome to more than that.
Well, let's try 2 and see what that does for us.
Yeah, I think at this point
we could do it.
Yeah, I think at this point what I want to do is this is a check-in. This is a look over your shoulder to see how it's going, make a few suggestions, let you go back and tweak on your own time. And we'll do it that way. Okay?
That sounds good.
All right, my friend. Go have yourself a lovely, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you Monday at 10.
See you then.
All right, Mike.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.